What's going on, everyone? It's Adam Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our live DFS golf show for the Zurich Classic. It's a team event. It's going to be a little bit crazy. Thank you for joining us live. I don't know. Oh, I think I got mine figured out here. We are live.
We are live. Yeah. We should be live. I think we have a bit of a bigger delay than normal,
Okay.
but we'll try to keep up with the chat regardless. Yeah, I
Well,
think
I got it. I got to get my things. Oh, here we go. Now I got the chat going on. What's going on, everybody? Craig, I kind of thought I was away last weekend. We didn't have any showdown picks. I thought I got a 10. Turns out I didn't. Looking at myself now on this live show, I look like a ghost.
well,
And you're all over the place. What's going on over there?
I'm just moving you a little closer so you can just zoom in on me. Yeah, I mean that's to be expected. You are somewhere where it's still snowing, so I'm not entirely surprised.
Actually, the weather this week primed me perfectly for the week of golf. It was 18 and sunny, which is about 65 Fahrenheit. Then it snowed 2 inches. Then it was 18 and sunny again. And now tomorrow we're getting another 2 inches of snow. I mean, it's this
Yeah.
roller coaster. I'm prepared.
Sniff,
I am
snap, sniff,
prepared.
snap.
Yeah, it is snip snap. That's a really good point. Euro locks, I think about in the
Pretty
middle of the
quickly,
night.
isn't it? Or
No, I
oh
think I
no,
think
because we're not
it's
in Middle East anymore. We're now,
yeah.
I guess.
So Big R Colts fan says Lemke out. He was out with COVID-19 last week, so not entirely surprising, but definitely something to check on. That's a good tip there.
Yeah, so this carnage that is trying to build lineups in for Zurich, how did you fare?
I mean, it was a headache. So we built this little thing here. So it's the teams ranked by salary. Pretty straightforward. You got the DraftKings salary there. You got their average points. That's just straight from DraftKings. The rank, the salary rank, and then from Data Golf. So we use Data Golf because there's Euro guys, there's Corn Ferry guys, there's guys playing on all different tours. Um, yeah, Davidson, I hear you. I hear you. So we have strokes in total for 6 months individually, and then we have it combined for the team. And then I kind of built from that my usual 20 teams, my one kind of main team with GPP. But it was a headache because I didn't really care who I picked in, so I did ROM, and it just all got confusing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I
I'm
tried to
glad.
like quantify why it was so difficult to build lineups this week or like, visualize it. And so this is the best I could come up with. This is sort of a, so this is
Classic Craig.
so I was trying to think about um, smaller field events, and what this is basically, um, zoom out here a touch, but it's basically so the salary versus the rank, and it's not actually that bad. Like they are fairly close in terms of it's not entirely out of line with how they normally do these things. But then if you
Right.
think about it, so we're at like the ninth or 10th here.
That ninth or 10th individual, right? So that would
No, ninth or
be,
10th team.
oh, ninth or 10th team. That puts us to like Chris Kirk,
Yeah, so
Todd, and
so what are Chris
Homagooch.
Kirk and Todd, are they 10,100?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we're talking 10,100 there, and then 9,600 for this is WGC concession. I don't know what
Yeah.
player that is, but it'd be a pretty darn good player, the ninth player ranked there. And then 9,400 at the Masters, which you're looking at like I don't know. I think that was maybe Brooks or Jordan Spieth
Yeah.
was around there. So we're talking 18th,
Yeah.
your 18th best guy. You're paying this much for at Zurich. It seems like it's fairly close in terms of the curve, but it's significantly more once you're trying to work on the edges and build lineups. And then once you're down
It
to
was
like your
brutal.
value plays, you're into 140th ranked guys in the field, and so when it's already not the strongest of fields to start with, it becomes tough to figure out where the value is. But I think this does a pretty good job of quickly summarizing it.
And those guys ranked in the field are also ranked like 300, 400th in the world. Like there's some
Yeah,
guys that we haven't seen in like ages. And that's why, I mean, sometimes I like to go kind of 3 months on data golf for kind of recent form, but 6 months, I just need more data, more sample size, because some of these guys have played so sparingly. Like I think even Henrik Stenson, I
But yeah,
click
but
on
I think 6 months
3 months.
is a decent balance between, like, you
Yeah,
do get somewhat their recent form, but it's also like, okay, but is it just, if it's 30 days, or it's hard to find that right point of what to use.
yeah, uh, yeah, exactly. Uh, I feel like I have some housekeeping things. It looks like we have showdown for round one, so we will be doing showdown shows this week. I don't know what it's going to do for alternate shot or best. I
It'll be
think we
best
have
ball tomorrow, so
best ball tomorrow, right?
the birdies will be there.
Birdies will be there for sure. Um, what else did I have to say? Now I'm blanking, Craig. You got me
I don't know, but I was
zooming out.
hoping I could look at.
Oh,
Yeah.
on our preview show, we said top 35 and ties make the cut. That is top 33. So, I mean, it's going to be bloodbath. It was really hard to build lineups. Um, it's
Well, and then on
it's going
top
to
of
be
that,
brutal.
it's so if you think about it, getting 6 of 6 through, so you were talking 80 teams start, you need to be 33 in ties through. We're going to be, I think, what was it, minus 26 was the winning score. So there's going to be a lot of birdies. So, if you really
You
need
need
to,
six to
you
six.
need 6 of 6,
Yeah,
um, more so than you need finishing position. Because the lower the scoring
totally.
goes, the less relevant finishing position is versus all the birdies and
100%.
everything they'll pick up on the weekend. So it's just
Yeah.
a really interesting week that I actually went. I you know caught a flat tire and had to deal with that yesterday and today. So I only have 5 lineups in this week. Trying to do it by hand when I don't have things like a model to rely on makes everything a little bit trickier. So
Yeah.
um,
Craig not having his model this week is just, it's a blind man. It's
yeah,
a blind man this
it's
week.
like when you don't have the
Um,
answers at the back of the book.
yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's right. I'm just throwing it out there. Uh, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Craig, I mean, I got my player pool here. I got 25 teams that I did for my 20 lineups. Do you kind of want to talk through, just kind of
Yeah, I
go
mean,
through?
let's just
Uh,
do what we normally do. I think go from top down. To me, starting at the first team.
and I mean, in the chat, throw any questions out. I mean, I think this one's going to be a little bit looser than our typical shows just because we don't have the model and we'll just kind of chat through it. Probably a little bit quicker as well. But yeah, throw questions out, throw bold predictions out, throw
Yeah, I've seen a
winning
lot
teams
of
out.
a lot of Bubba Scheffler, Lindenstock, and Bubba Scheffler. I think that lineup will, because it's hard to spend up. It's very hard to spend up above that. I don't know if I actually even went above Horschel Burns in my 5 lineups, just because
Mm,
I also went Homagooch, like the ones I had on our show. I went
yeah.
them in quite a few of mine. So I want to say maybe 3 of my 5. That was my highest one in. So I
Yeah.
definitely skewed towards the balanced approach myself this week.
So I was going to do that, and I still did that a little bit, but Xander, Cantlay, Rom, Palmer, I feel like are in a class of themselves. I mean, even Palmer's been playing very well recently.
Hmm.
So I actually went 20% on both of them, and I got one lineup where I squeezed them both in and then just did my favorite 6K plays. Um, and I can talk about that again. Like my, it's kind of a bell curve for me. I got tons of ownership right in the middle, and I kind of even out kind of 10 or 20% ish on the ends. But I
So if you went
those
that heavy with those 2 teams, you must
yeah.
have skipped a bunch of plays from there downwards.
And then this is where I kind of spread it out a little bit. Like I kind of did, um, like so I went like two of the Aussies, two Bubba Chef. I did only one Finau and Champ, and then three of the Horschel Burns.
So just to put that in context, that's your twos. Those are 10%, and then your ones, that's 5%.
Yes.
So you got 4
Yeah.
each on the Xander team and the Rom team, and then totally skipped on Morikawa Wolf.
Yeah, that was my one fade. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
okay.
I
Uh,
I, I mean they have to could win, but the fact with Wolf question marks and then Morikawa putting question marks, it's enough of like I'd rather go down below and get those two teams right below or spend up.
yeah, so just real quick, Brent Harris is asking, are you looking for complementary skills, or sets, sets or teams that gel or otherwise? I would say a little bit of all of those things. Like I think one of my picks on our show was Kisner Brown, who's 8,700 here, and they're much more just they're people who have success in this format together. I think similar, with Usti and Charles Schwartzel. I would say I would lean towards not over reading into like complementary skill sets because they have such a small ability to, they can control who tees off first. So on your alternating shots, say you can control who tees off first, but then it's just rotating through. So, you can try to plan around who's teeing off the most versus who's hitting into par threes the most, and like who might be having drives or second shots depending on what you want into par fives and all that. But ultimately, I kind of want the two most solid guys you can together.
It's not a scramble, right? It's not like we both shoot and we take the best one when we both shoot. So it's not like we're only going to use your distance and then we're going to only use my around the green and putting expertise that I bring.
I mean, that would be what we bring to the table typically.
That would be our team. But yeah, I mean,
usually when we've done scrambles, we're usually about, I would say, a drink a whole pace too. So it gets you definitely need to be using everyone's best ball.
It's right around the turn that we really peak.
Unfortunately, they're 9-hole events.
Yeah. So I think there's not really hiding a partner or overcompensating for a partner. Like through the 4 days, they're going to have to make shots. You just can't hide from it. I mean, best ball, yeah, you could go out and personally shoot a 59, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I would potentially do. So, if you think about, and no one comes to mind off the top of my head, maybe like a Brendan Todd, and this might not actually be true. I'd have to look at his numbers, but I would say someone whose real strength as a golfer is bogey avoidance is a little bit less valuable as a teammate than someone who makes a lot of birdies, but might also make a lot of bogeys, I think you want those people who make birdies because on the best ball days, that's what you're going to assume that the other pro golfer is going to make probably baseline than making a par. If both guys bogey, that's an unusual event. So you more want the guys who have higher chances of birdieing.
Yeah, I agree. But going back to Brent Harris, like, do I want teams that gel? Yeah, absolutely. I think Todd Kirk is a good one. I think they spent almost 4 years in college together.
They're both University of Georgia guys.
Might have been roommates from what I remember, what I heard.
And I think they were national champions, weren't they? That team was stacked.
That team was stacked.
Was
that also like Hudson Swafford
and what's his name? Harris English, I think.
Yeah,
they were stacked. They're all pro golfers now. So, anyways, essentially Xander, Rahm. I think both those teams, if you can find ways to fit them in, are worth it. But you have to give up a lot to do so. And then I think both of us chose as our fade for the week Morikawa, Wolf.
That's right.
Yeah. And to me, that's just essentially, I think. I think they're going to do very good on the best ball days, but I worry about them. Although I do think we're starting to see a little bit better form from Matthew Wolff. It seems like he kind of hit the bottom of the valley, maybe around Farmers and Concession, the start of the Florida swing, and Farmers when he withdrew with the hand injury after blowing up. But I think we're starting to see a little bit better for him, but I'm still not there yet.
Yeah, he had, I think, a good showing at the Dell Match Play and then fell off pretty quickly. Brent Harris also said Henley, he's a bulldog as well. I think they're bulldogs. Yeah, they're bulldogs.
Georgia Bulldogs, just like good old Matt Stafford, AJ Green.
I don't remember. No, you're losing me here. You're losing me now.
Okay. Sorry, it's NFL draft season.
I guess it is. Leash, Aussies, and...
So I really like that Aussie team. So I from a DFS point of view, I didn't get up there, but I really like them as a potential winning team.
Yeah, chemistry there, for sure. It does, like, back-to-back weeks where it feels like we're paying too much for Cam Smith. But, I mean, look at his strokes in total over the past 2 months. He's better than Cantley. He's up there with Xander. He's better than Scheffler. He's better than Finau. Like, he's playing unreal right now. Yeah. We might just be seeing him grow as this top 20, top 15, top
Well, and
10 maybe player in the world.
yeah, 10's a big ask when Rory McIlroy can't even make it
That's a
in
big
there.
one.
But
Yeah.
I think we are seeing him kind of blossom into his next level as a golfer.
Yeah.
So or sorry, Morikawa team is a fade for us. Smith, you played a little bit.
Yeah, I got 10% there. I got 10% on Watson
And I
Scheffler.
think that will have higher ownership. Like I think a lot of people are gonna avoid paying up just because of how brutal the pricing structure is this week. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
will avoid. So taking shots up at top with these guys, I think is a good play because their ownership will be a bit suppressed. Now, I think this Watson Scheffler, from the sounds of it, just offhand, it sounds like it will be a bit popular.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I mean, it's two guys that you talk about birdie or better, or
Hmm.
like exciting guys. Like Scheffler got that 59 last year, right? He can absolutely go low, and then Bubba, we known as, I mean, it's Bubba.
Yeah, I mean,
It,
Bubba's
it,
one of the
it,
best
it,
drivers of the golf ball over the last 10 years. And I mean,
he can
he's
do
just
ridiculous
streaky.
things. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. He absolutely is. So I get that 10% there as well. Yeah, like I absolutely get it.
And then the Bomber group.
Bomber group, yeah, I only got one lineup there, kind of the FOMO lineup. It does feel like the first group, maybe including the Wolf group, but feels like we're really kind of paying up for that one person. Even though Cameron Champ has been good, but it hasn't been consistent. I mean, with their distance, they can absolutely fire low. So
Yeah. Um, we've got a UGA grad, and he's also Ugandan, I think. I'm not quite sure. So maybe he can give us some other insight into all those Sea Island UGA boys.
yeah,
So sorry, bomber team.
yeah, I get. I mean, we don't have to overanalyze this. Anybody could win this. Yeah, they
Yeah.
could absolutely win this. Are they going to be greater on the greens? Then they could win it. Are they going to be? Is Finau not going to be kind of easing every putt in there, kind of tapping tap 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 away?
Tappity tap. No, because he can take runs at them.
Yeah, that's also a different thing. Um, so yeah, Horschel Burns. Horschel, two-time winner of this course.
Big R has a
He's won
good
it since.
point here because so say on your alternate shot days, is there was he saying there an advantage to lefty righty stack on a team if there were holes that set up to shape easier for someone's shot shape versus the other and like they actually fell well enough in a pattern on the alternating shot days that's an interesting take. I don't know enough about the course to know whether that would be the case or not.
Yeah, it's also a course I don't know very well. Yeah.
But so I think this is an interesting one. So we've got the Finau team and the Horschel team, and they're next to each other in pricing, 10-7, 10-5. Their team averages are very, very close to each other, but they're very different in terms of one is,
Yeah.
it's Finau carrying,
High
bringing,
low.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a high low versus the tight to the average. Which of those do you prefer?
I like the Horschel Burns. I mean, Horschel's a two-time winner here. He's coming in great form. Burns, I'm still high on Burns. Burns is streaky. He can get really low. I think I have 15% on this group. I think they're popular. People like it was the most interesting group in our tournament preview, and I think for good reason. Horschel being a two-time winner here, Burns being the LSU grad, Louisiana boy.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
I
just
also think that Cam Champ, I mean, he's an exceptional driver of the golf ball. I think he still has a few more holes in his game, which I think we'll
yeah.
see potentially will hurt them a bit more on the alternating shot days. Whereas Burns, he's also a really good driver of the golf ball, but I think he's a bit more complete at this point.
It is funny because you get an official win, but you don't get official world golf ranking points. So I mean, there is funny narratives here with Finau, Burn, like getting that win.
Does it count? Does it not?
Like it counts. Yeah, it counts. Moving on from let's just okay. So we got Willett Hatton, which I think is an interesting team, probably a little bit overlooked, and then Kirk Todd rounding out the 10Ks. And I can't believe these guys are all over 10K. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
But we're here.
We're here. So
It's what we have. It's a hand we're dealt.
So I probably like the Kirk Todd team more than the Willett Hatton team. just because
Yeah,
I mean maybe I'm overreading the chemistry and the connection and whatnot, but I think I do like these teams better when you're not potentially having someone who is weighing the team down. And I mean, we're talking about strokes gained, so like on average a
yeah.
stroke over the course of 18 holes. These guys are all pros. You know,
Totally.
what I worry
Yeah.
about more is, so say in a case like Danny Willett, Terrell Hatton, and I don't know these guys' personalities, but those type of teams where or like a Hovland Ventura, if Ventura starts to play poorly, does that grind on your team dynamic a bit? You know,
Yeah.
does it make you feel like, oh, I'm not just, and you do get this, I think, in Ryder Cups and President's Cups where people feel like in golf, you're not usually playing for someone else, you're just playing for yourself. So all of a sudden, there's that different kind of pressure that these guys aren't used to. Like, oh, I just hit a bad chip, and now this guy's got to try to make a
Yeah.
10-foot putt when I should have had it inside three.
Which I mean, the fire we've seen from Horschel, first time pairing with Burns. I don't know how close, like how
Yeah, I
quickly they can
know.
tell
Yeah.
if Horschel's just pounding his clubs in there, and then
Do you
Burns
think
is like,
afterwards is he like, I know he said we'd buddy up for this.
yeah. Uh, so one thing I want to say with the Willett, he's .09 here, strokes gained total. It's been very high low though. So he has an 18th at the RBC Heritage, miscut, and an 8th at Corrales Punta Cana, opposite field obviously. But he has a couple top 20s in his last 4 starts. So it's not like he's being. I think there's better recent form there than people might be aware.
Yeah, I
That being
also
said,
think
I
he
have him. I have
is.
one FOMO
I
lineup.
mean, you know, it's maybe a little bit more longer term comeback type thing, but he is still working his way back from an injury and has not yet regained the form that he had before his injury. So I do think he's one of these ones where you kind of need to look a little bit beyond the stats, sort of like Leishman was for a while there when he had been playing very poorly, and then we
Yeah.
saw that the form was there before the numbers really started to back it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That brings us to Holmagooch. I just think, you know, whoever's picking them, just really smart people.
Okay,
No,
so
I like
here's
the
the other
balance.
thing
I like
too.
the
It's like
I like the chemistry. I like the form.
how it works with like there's only 80 because they are kind of priced together, right? So in the 9Ks we only got 5 options. We have 5 options in the 9Ks. So we were talking about like and I know people do this. We talked about in our Discord like a core cascade where you build your main
Yeah.
lineup and then you kind of sub out 3 times. It's really hard because you pick. I mean, your options are so limited, right? Like there's
Now I
very few
count
options.
nine,
So
but that's just me.
what are you talking about?
In the 9Ks?
Oh, I've deleted ones I didn't play. I'm looking at my
No, but
personal
I do
save.
know what you mean because I was looking at potentially just for the sake of making it easier to build lineups this week of doing a core cascade. But it is
Mhm.
so hard because uh, you can't. There aren't enough pivots. So sometimes you
Yeah.
normally have a lot more people clustered in there, I think, and you don't this week. So I hear what you're saying, but
So
yeah.
I mean, okay, let's talk. Okay, so Homagooch, we have the Norway group, Grace Varner, the old guys, Rosen Stenson, Usi Schwartzel, Bradley Steele, Peters Lewis, Im, and Damon Griffin. Anyone jumping out is kind of too expensive or too or undervalued.
So personally, I did not. So this is where we start to get into where I have played people. I did play Hovland Ventura. I don't love that play though. It was one of these ones where
Oh, I thought I picked them, but I didn't.
it was one of these ones where it just worked out price wise. And if you look at Hovland, so I already had Homagooch in that one, and I just I agree with Lyndon. I'm a fan of Homagooch as well.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be cheering for. Like I'm not being as analytical theoretical with my lineup building
Right.
this week, so I'm gonna cheer for him this week, and so I'm happy to have decent exposure to them. But Hovland
Yeah.
Ventura, I landed with like that price point left, and I don't really like Grace Varner. I don't really like Rose Stenson. So then I was like, okay, do I go all the way down? I mean, I guess I could have
Sure.
gone all the way down to Usti Schwartzel, but I'm a big Hovland fan, so I was like, whatever. Ventura flashes every once in a while. So
Good putter. Like,
if we get that from him this week and he can, recapture a little bit of that college form, you never
yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, I mean, my quick thoughts going through this range is Homagoosh. I like, they're both playing well. It does seem expensive, but I got 10%
I also think their
there.
ownership may be high.
Yeah, I think so too. This is kind of the area where you might get your second team in, or it's a good place to start if you're going,
Balanced.
pretty balanced. Yeah. Uh, Hovland, Ventura. I think we're getting a little bit too discounted for Ventura. He has been, like, compared to the spring and fall have been like a tale of two seasons for him. He was pretty good in the fall,
Mm-hmm.
and he's really dropped off in the spring. And I think they're priced down. Hovland, I think, is crazy to pay this price for Hovland. Like, if you look around him, his 1.81 recently. Plus, he's just like to me, and this, I don't know if the stats back this up, but he's a really streaky player that can go super low. Like, WGC concession is what I'm thinking, and he just, like, there's so many birdie opportunities there with Hovland.
He's an elite ball striker. So
Yeah.
when you're an elite ball striker like he is, and you get hot, then you can go crazy.
Yeah. So, like, I think Grace Varner is actually pretty sneaky because people don't want to pay up for them, but two guys with really good recent form. Varner coming off a second last week, and Grace having that win about 5 events or so ago, but like top 25 since then.
They might be like that unsexy team that you're like, I don't want to spend 96 on them, but then at the end of the week you're like, oh man, how's this team third?
Yeah. Rose Stenson is the team where going into, like, building kind of bottom up, I was like, they're my last one, and it goes right there. I'm like, I still just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in Stenson. Although Stenson, I want to say, had a decent showing at the Masters, but even still, I don't have a lot of faith for where his game's at. And Rose, I feel like we haven't seen enough. We did see him flash the Masters,
but he loves that course. And he
yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
I am staying away from that team.
There is definitely the Ryder Cup narrative, I think, for some of these guys. I think they're scratching and crawling a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a little bit of change into the guard with the Euro Ryder Cup team because there's more of those guys in their 40s than there's room for. There's more guys there that want to be on the team and are, longtime Ryder Cuppers than there's room for. And so I think we're going to see a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you got these two. Then you also have, like, the Paul Caseys, the Lee Westwoods. Like, there's some
Sergio. And then we're not even accounting for, like, the Rahm, Hovland, Hatton, like the ones who are going to be on there. So
the stars for the next couple decades.
Yeah.
Okay, here's where we get into some heavy ownership from me.
Oh, Rory as well, I guess, would be one of the ones who's a shoo-in.
Well, no, I'm just kidding. Uzi Schwartzel, yeah, I got there 35%. Now we're getting into some pretty heavy ownership for me. Bradley Steele, I didn't get there. Peters Lewis, someone brought this up. Lyndon G said, might surprise. I kind of agree. I want 20% there. I love me some Tommy.
You love Peters. Thomas Peters, yeah.
Yeah, give me the Belgian bomber, man. He can hit it out there. Sure.
And Lewis, we haven't seen good form from Lewis, but he's a player. So I don't know. He's one of these people I can't really figure out personally.
Me too. I feel like
I don't have any of them though. I might have. I'd have to pull it up here, but I might have a Bradley Steele, and I definitely have some Sungjae Benyan.
Yeah. So Sungjae, my M is 40%. I like them.
It's hard too because when I'm looking at my lineups, I only have like one of the players, so I have to like look through so carefully to try to figure out who I have here.
So yeah, I like him. I mean, I talked about him on our pick show, so you can watch that. But I think they're both streaky. Ann's a good enough ball striker that I think he fits in well with him, who's really steady. And we're getting Benny Ann at a dip, basically.
Yeah. Now, I actually had not played either of these next two teams. So we're into the low 9s, high 8s here now. But I didn't have any Damon Griffin or Fratelli Streelman until I saw this thing that you built. And then I was like, man, I think there might be some value there. So I plugged them
Tell
in.
me
I
about it.
made a balanced lineup, and I plugged both of those teams into it. Just because I do think these are kind of exactly the unsexy teams that might make some noise.
And you mean this thing that I built, just the sheet that we're looking
Yeah,
at here,
just
right?
I think the team average is a good way of kind of just very, very, very roughly attributing.
Where are they at?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard because we're taking or there's a lot of roughing in of numbers to make this happen. And
Oh, the other thing I should say, I built this by hand. These numbers,
I know that's why that's why I was
I
so
do not
impressed.
guarantee that these are correct. So if you're counting on this number, double check it. Like I said, it's from Data Golf, 6-month average. I built them all by hand. It was
You just entered
this
you
thing.
entered the by hand for the averages. You didn't average them by hand. That was done through a calculation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Then I would really have to check the numbers.
I
But
figured out that formula. High eights. What are we doing here? I guess I can go through my entire eights of who I'm playing if we scroll down a little bit here, Craig.
yeah.
Um, the Brown Kisner, I threw in one lineup. You convinced me, 5%. Sure. I got Kokrak and Perez at 30%. You'll like this one too. This is kind of
Those
like my
guys are
Thomas
just
Peters.
gamers, eh? You just
They
like that
are
game value.
for sure. Um, the EVR Wyndham Clark, I got 25%, and then I had to throw in some of these youngsters. Gibbons, I got 35%.
Okay, so I have, like I said, I've got a single. I mean, Damon Griffin, we're talking 9K still, but I do have Fratelli Streelman. I did
I
not get there on
I
Ches.
wanted to get them for Telly Streamline. I think they are kind of sneaky. I agree with them.
Brown Kisner, I obviously have. I did not go McDowell Wallace. I snuck in some Noren Norlander. They just feel like the absolute streakiest players that you never know what you're gonna get.
That would be. I think they'll be extremely low owned, and that if they win, yeah, that kind of caps off this week. Kind of.
It's a perfect encapsulation. Hey man, you got
Yeah,
to get Team Sweden some love.
yeah,
Um, and then I also got Kokrak Perez. And then after this is another one that I put into that balanced lineup that I made. EVR Wyndham. I did not have them, and then I plugged them in after I saw this because I was like, I do think there's maybe some sneaky value there. Obviously, I've got me some Gims.
yeah,
And yeah, I think that's it for me as well until we get down to I think where some of our picks are.
yeah. I think this is a pretty good range to see where these averages come out, right?
Mhm.
Because the Nora Norlander, you're not building based on these averages. You're building on kind of just other reasons. But when you
Yeah,
look at Hoffman
and in
Watney,
part, I think because they're both streaky players that
yeah,
might show up well in a best ball.
yeah, for sure. When you look at Hoffman Watney, I mean that is a huge difference for how Nick Watney's playing. Like that, he is priced like he is a 6K guy that's been pulled up because Charlie Hoffman is on a crazy streak right now.
Yeah, I think this is one of these ones where Nick Watney is probably pretty happy that he's good buddies
Yeah,
with Charlie Hoffman because
yeah.
yeah, his game. I was doing some research on driver stats, and his game's not in a good place right now. He is. I mean, he's still a professional golfer, but he's at the bottom of some of these numbers.
Lyndon G asks Gimsa highest ownership. I think that's a good
It will
guess.
be
I
high.
also think
I don't know if
I
it'll be the
also think
highest, but it'll be high.
I think Akshay Piercy could get really high because people are like, I need 160K.
I also think the Neesmith might be a little bit high.
Yep.
I do think both those guys prevent sort of some. I mean, Neesmith is oftentimes a little bit of a DFS darling, and
Yep.
so it's one of the safer ones. But
And then up top, I would go maybe Team Aussie and then Bubba Scheffler as kind of maybe the higher owned
yeah, but the
teams up
problem is,
there.
I feel like I don't know. There's you're having to do so much compensating to get those top end teams in.
Yeah.
So I don't know is the long and short of it.
Well, the funny thing is, I don't know. Someone's going to build it tomorrow morning, and I'm going to be happy that someone does. Is they're going to combine the ownerships, and we'll see what the actual team ownership is.
Yeah.
But you're gonna look on your DraftKings app and it'd be like, oh, my Wyndham Clark is only 8%. I'm like, oh, everyone played EVR. Now I get it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It's I don't know how they. I mean, I guess they have their systems on the back end that I don't understand, but I don't know how they didn't find a way to just make teams.
They just figured it's easier to put in the golfer profiles that they already have. I
So
think, and then you can
Alex
get
is asking, did anyone picking Stanley? I do remember looking at Stanley. Who's he with?
KH Lee, I want to say, right
Oh,
around
he's high
7,000.
6Ks.
Yeah, 6, 7,000 around there.
Okay, well we'll jump into the 7Ks. So I don't have any Stanley personally, but I do think that's a team that it could definitely be value down here, especially as a pivot off Piercy Batia.
Yeah, I think a great pivot. But one I didn't get to, but I think it's a great pivot. That's
So, what have you done here in the 7Ks?
7K this is where I went crazy. This is the real peak of my bell curve here. Thompson, Will Gordon, 50%. Neesmith Seifert, 45%. Laird, Nick Taylor, 55%.
Yeah,
Werwinski, Peter Uline, coming up that win, 30%.
that Corn Ferry Tour win for Peter Uline.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me think here. I don't have any plays. I do have Thompson Gordon is my first. I've faded these first three. I almost got to this Knox Brian Stewart, but I ultimately
Yeah.
didn't. I do think that might have some sneaky safe play almost.
Mm.
And at this point, it's just like, who do I feel like can make the weekend?
I know. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
And so I do this Michael Thompson, Will Gordon. I have obviously Neesmith, Seifert. And then I think I plugged in a single Snedeker Mitchell.
I get that. I do get that for sure. But
And then
just
Laird Taylor. I didn't have Straka Teeter, although I think they're a fine play. And then I also have gone Werenski, Peter Uline.
yeah, I mean this is where I'm just gonna lose the week or not. But basically, like you said, I what am I trying to say here? Hitched my wagon to guys who I thought could make the weekend,
Yeah.
and I just went pretty much all in. 55% is too much to put on a Laird Nick Taylor, but that's where I went. I figured in this range they have the best chance. Steady, both positive strokes gain. Seb Straka, Teeter. I think that's a good pivot, but a little bit trickier, I think.
So Ray Flores, can Matt Jones carry JJ Spawn? I struggle with that one. Like I was thinking the same thing. I do remember, I forget what course it was, but JJ Spawn was a sneaky. I don't think he was actually a sleeper pick on our show, but I remember bringing him up on a Wednesday show as a low 6K play I was making somewhere. I worry. So these are the teams I feel like I was trying to stay away from, was teams like this where like you really have to dodge someone playing badly or someone whose form isn't great. But I also think a lot of people are going to dodge them, so their ownership's going to be low. That if they do
Yeah.
make the weekend, if Spawn Jones makes the weekend and Neesmith Seifert doesn't, then you're going to have a huge leverage on tons of people. So
Yeah, I just looking at Spawn's recent 6 months we have, his more recent stuff is even worse. So
you really are trying to dodge.
yeah, or hope that there's a turnaround this week. You can never
Yeah,
predict
yeah.
turnarounds, right? Um, yeah, it's also going to be hard. Like I agree, like it's going to be a
Well,
little
I
bit hard.
can. I mean, I picked Joel Damon to win in Puerto Rico, didn't I?
Yeah, that was a good turnaround
When
pick.
you missed three straight cuts,
Yeah, yeah,
or
that's a good
something
one.
like
That's a
that.
good one.
Yeah.
Respect.
I'll bet myself. No, none of us picked Brooks to win at the Waste Management.
No, we were close.
Okay, yeah, but
Best I got is Siwoo.
sorry.
I'm gonna hang my hat on Siwoo until I
Oh
get another
yeah,
one.
yeah. Well, that was out of. It seemed to be out of the blue, but obviously there was something to it. Okay, so then I think we're getting into the value here. KH Lee, I didn't get here myself, but I think that team is value down here.
I agree.
Obviously, I got to Piercy Batia.
I think they'll be highly owned.
I think
but
they
I
will
got
be highly owned, and I think
there.
that can be a good reason to pivot off of them. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I'm going there.
Bryce Garnett, Scott Scollings.
I
got
did get there.
25%.
Oh, 25%.
A couple. I mean, I'm really heavy here. I mean,
you need to fill in your lineups.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. So two guys, two veterans, where I feel like, yeah, they can absolutely just grind out a weekend. And
I also
looking
like
at their
that,
6 month
Garnett, I mean, he was a sleeper of yours last week. His form is good for this range, but it's also not like he's carrying a very poor team. Yeah, like Stallings hasn't been the best of recent, but it's not that bad. So I do like that.
And I feel like Stallings hasn't been playing a ton. So it
And
might
he's
be a
really
little bit more.
fit, is what the one thing they always say
He's
whenever he's on a broadcast.
Oh, I have him on Instagram. He's always pushing his push-ups, and he's pushing his products.
Oh yeah. Okay, so do you want to just
Another
skip
thing is,
through and tell me your plays down here?
if you look at Stallings, we're like looking. There's the True Strokes gain on Data Golf, which you can see kind of their recent rounds. He has some really high ones, really low ones.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a good pairing with Garnett, and could pop. It could be a pop.
I mean, ultimately, you're looking for a weekend. If they get the weekend, then I feel like you have to feel good about it. So I do have, or no, I don't have anyone below. I think that's as low as I went. Was
Okay.
Garnett Stallings, but I was looking at.
So stop right here for a sec. I got 30% on Roger Sloan, Aaron Baddeley. These are a couple I already throw to our Discord. But yeah, I went heavy here. Again, their 6-month average stands out to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's positive in a sea of red. So I went there.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I do think you have to. Anything down here, you're taking some serious chances. So it is one that looks like it might be decent on the numbers. I actually thought that Zhang CT Pan stood out to me. I mean, it's obviously not standing out in a huge way numbers wise, but CTP Pan has been playing some good golf.
And we know Xinju Zhang. I mean,
he can play good golf.
Yeah.
So that one stood out to me as it is one that might be value. I don't think I ended up plugging it in. I'd have to really comb through my plays to figure that out.
Oh, did he fall asleep there, Craig?
No, I'm just looking to see if there's anyone else. I don't think I have any other plays this low.
Can you scroll down from 64 to the bottom of 6,000 here? So another interesting plays, I thought, Burgoon Lebiota, I thought was kind of interesting.
63.
I didn't get there myself. Who else are we looking at here? My last one is Robbie Shelton Kramer Hickok that I got 25% of.
Oh, 25%.
And
this is where, like, when I'm saying I don't think I went above Homa Gooch, these are the kind of things you have to do that.
That's exactly it. When I said I got a Xander and a Rom lineup, like I need to get someone at 6,100 in there. But looking down here, there's got my favorite play of this group. Nothing else is really standing out.
You didn't want to get there on Rocco Mediate, Woody Austin?
No, I didn't get there.
I do think
it's tough sledding.
The one that I feel like probably the most confident in that was not one of our picks already. I think I like this Wierenski Uline play.
Yeah, I'm not confident in that one at all, but I went there quite.
Well, I mean, I'm not confident in any of these plays down here, but comparative, like I like Neesmith Seifert. We had that as a pick. Laird Taylor was one of yours.
Gordon Thompson, I really like.
So like the ones I would say that we haven't already highlighted as picks of ours, that's probably the one that I went to the most.
I mean, like, the two that I didn't go to personally that kind of stand out are Cashley Stanley. We talked about. I mean, Højgaard, Von Taylor. Why not?
Yeah. I looked at that one a couple times and I'm like, man, Von Taylor hasn't been playing that bad. Højgaard, He's a freaking stud. Like you could get a crazy good week
That
from
I
him.
mean, that minus 0.41 on Højgaard is kind of. I mean, I would have to double check that actually. That seems disrespect.
Well, no, I mean, it's not exactly like he has lit the world on fire the last 6 months. It's just he has wins for a 19-year-old on the European tour. Like we're not
But
expecting
he gets
consistency from
yeah
him. He's just
yeah,
he's flashed.
and he can bomb it.
Yeah. I mean,
That is
even
correct,
his
by the
little
way.
brother's out there bombing it last week.
Yeah, is it Nikolai? No,
Nikolai, I think,
Nicholas.
yeah.
Nikolai. I mean, Craig, that's the player field. Any final thoughts?
No, I have no final thoughts because I have barely tried to. I feel like this is not a week to pick on thought. This is a week to go with your gut.
Yeah,
What I'm excited for. I think so. If we think about moving forward, so Thursday we're gonna have best ball. Um, I'm not. I might plug in a best ball lineup, but I would say the one thing I might do is look at some of these teams that are like a Sung Jae Im Benny On team, like teams that I think are potentially better best ball teams than they are alternate shots. And
yeah,
then I think there's going to be a huge overreaction in terms of pricing and
yes,
ownership from Thursday best ball into pricing and ownership for Friday
yeah,
alternate shot. So I think that's where what I'm really going to look at is like as the week goes on, and then from that to then we're going to our Saturday best ball again. We're going to see a lot of it. It's just going to be
I
keep
think
your head
this
on a
table
swivel.
here, yeah, I think this table here is great for alternate shot. I would look for pretty steady guys.
Sorry.
I think this table here, looking at both their
Yeah.
averages, their 6 month averages, is great for alternate shot. I would look for, I mean, where we are right now, I got to move my cursor here.
9,200.
Fratelli, Streelman, they're both solid enough.
Mm-hmm.
Better alternate shot than say a Watney Hoffman, like we talked about, or a McDowell Wallace even.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I totally agree. Or you mean compare? I think a good comparison would be Hovland Ventura and
yeah,
Gooch Homa. Like,
yeah,
yeah, maybe in a best ball, Hovland Ventura isn't actually that bad, but then alternating shot, I want that steadier team.
yeah, for sure. My closing thoughts are golf betting, golf DFS, fantasy golf is random in nature. This week is even more random. Have fun.
Yeah,
Don't don't bet more than your bankroll and you're comfortable losing because it's kind of a crapshoot.
yeah.
Uh,
So that would be one thing. I'm not even going to my normal sort of ceiling in terms of um, what I'm putting in this week in terms of a percentage of a bankroll, because
mhm.
like I think there's more randomness. There's more noise than
Yeah,
signal this week, and so it's one I'm gonna have fun with. And if you do get the big hit, you get the big hit. But I'm not gonna kind of go out there trying to play the little edges.
yeah, for sure. I completely agree. Thank you guys for joining
Oh,
us.
and
Hit
we
that
do
thumbs.
have Tom T is stepping up to take Rocco Woody.
I like it. I like it. Shoot your shot. Yeah, hit that thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not already subscribed. I think that's it, Craig. Good luck, everybody, this week.
Yeah, we'll be doing showdown, so we'll see you guys tomorrow 6:30 or
Yeah.
9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific.